Just sitting at the park, watching the geese. Watching the geese, seeing what they're doing. They're just sitting down. They just ate, fed them some bread. Now they're gonna wash up and pick at themselves, clean themselves up. It's so weird because you see a lot of animals that do grooming, and then a lot of humans don't groom. But animals like to groom. They see these ones over here. Let me see if I can zoom in on them. You can see them picking at themselves, getting the bugs off, splashing in the water, cleaning up. Personal hygiene is important to your overall health and in prepping, because if you don't have good personal hygiene, you could get sick. You have aches and pains. It affects your mood when you don't feel well. It affects your mood. It causes you to be offensive to others, with smells, body odors, breath, that kind of stuff. Uh-oh, they found something. They found that bread we left, so they all running over there for that. And who is this guy?
Nobody in particular.
Nobody in particular. But a topic came up that I thought about, and I wanted to get David's opinion or perspective on it. And it's along the lines of prepping. You got a prepper group, and we've talked about prepper groups. And we're not opposed to it. If that's your thing, that's your thing. It's no big deal.
Sure.
I think it could be good. It's with anything you have your plus and your minuses, but in prepper group, I feel that it's very important that before things happen, if you have a group now, nothing's really going on, that it's designated. Everybody has a designated job.
Yeah.
Meaning you got 15 people in your group. All 15 of them need to have a job to do. Need to have a responsibility.
Every person in the group isn't the hunter-gatherer.
No.
Or security.
Yeah.
And that's a really good point, because you see a lot of groups that they're just a group. They just hang out. They talk about prepping. They talk about training. Some of them even actually do some of the training they talk about. But what are the clearly defined roles, if any, besides the fact that so-and-so seems to be in charge?
Yeah. I mean, because security, important.
Yeah.
Hunting, gathering, important. Self-defense, I guess, would fall under security, important. And I believe everybody should know how to do that. But every day, you're not walking around, I don't believe, hopefully, every day you're not walking around hunting, gathering, and pulling security. Yeah, you're going to do those things. But if you have a homestead, or you have a bug out location, or you just got a location for you and your group to hold up, there's other things that need to be done, that has to be done. You have to collect water. Who's in charge of collecting water and ensuring that you have enough for everybody in the group? Whose job is it to maintain the food?
Yeah.
Gathering the food, distributing the food, storing the food.
Because it may need to be rationed out. Who's going to be in charge of that?
Yeah. Who's your medic? If you got kids, who's watching the kids? What are they doing with them kids? Are they just babysitting? Or are they going to do like some lessons and some training and stuff like that? So I think it's very important that everybody has a designated job. Look at the things that you know for a fact needs to be done on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And ask people, or if you know, okay, I know Ben is a good carpenter. Maybe he can be in charge of building and maintenance. you know. But then also you want to ask people, hey, we have some job. These are the jobs. Can we get volunteers? Because some people are good at things and you might not know it. Or you might know that this lady has 3 kids, so you say, oh yeah, she'd be great with kids. But then she don't want to be around other people's kids,
Yeah.
you know. So you might want to ask.
And do you have a person who's in charge of logistics? Because
Yeah.
there's a few points that you brought up that it ties into that. Like you talked about gathering water. How many people do you have? How much water do you need every day? Not just for drinking purposes, but for bathing, for cleanup, for a lot of different reasons. Water resources are used for a lot of things.
Yeah.
How much do you need per person per day? How much of it needs to be filtered? How much of it can you just get away with boiling? Because, you know, I've heard people say, oh, it doesn't make a difference. You know, you only need to filter the water you're going to drink or whatever. No, you don't want to bathe in mucky water.
Yeah.
And you don't want to. There was another guy that I saw actually a video on that he said, you know, if it's for latrine and you have an active latrine that you can pour water into, you can just pour any old water in there. No, you can't. Not
Yeah.
unless you want the inside of your toilet to get slimy, because
Yeah.
it's going to pick up that mold and bacteria after a while. Things like that. Who's, like you brought up, who's in charge of any children that are running around? You can't have loose kids. Somebody's got to mind them. That's actually pretty important.
Yeah.
Is there a duty roster for routine maintenance, period? Who's going to burn out your latrines? You got a guy who's going to do that for you every time? Or are you going to have to assign chores on some kind of a rotating schedule?
Yeah. I mean, like, some people don't mind. I remember when I was in the military and we had chores. And I told them, I'll do bathrooms every day. I actually I liked cleaning the bathroom. So I was like the permanent bathroom cleaner.
Yeah.
Because I liked it. Now, you got some people that are
That
like
don't like
that.
that.
They're like, okay, I know I like cooking and I like cleaning the kitchen. I'll do that. You don't have to worry about it. I'll do it every day. Give me a helper. Okay. You know, now
Sure.
you might have to rotate out that helper. But if you got a person and they say, yeah, I'll do that. It doesn't matter. Put me on that job. You don't have to worry. Just give me a helper. Now, when it comes to the medical stuff, you might can't rotate out that medical person. You know, you might got a person that's an expert. That
Yeah.
is a doctor. That is a paramedic. That is a nurse. You know, you
And
want
you're
to.
lucky if you do.
You're very
not
lucky.
And not all nurses know how to do that stuff. There's different levels of nurses.
Yeah.
So,
So think about those things. Think about, okay, what are the things that will have to be done? Write them down. And then think about the people. Now, if you have a person in your group and they kind of suspect around kids, you're not going to say, hey, it's your turn to watch the kids. You can be like, no, you're never going to be near them kids by yourself. You know, you might have that person that's kind of suspect or they just look weird. You know, think about those things.
hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not. If you got them and they suspect, you might not want them in your group.
Yeah, that's when SHTF, that's when you start building the gallows. Just saying. But but yeah, do the people in your group have a hierarchy of command? Do they know who's in charge? Do they know who's next after that? Who's in charge of what? Whose job is it to do what?
Yeah.
There's a lot to consider there, and there's a lot of like menial tasks that are often overlooked
Yeah.
in those kind of situations. Like we had brought up, somebody to watch children if there are any. You can't have them just running around all over the place if the grid's been down for a year and a half. You know.
Yeah, then you have feral kids running all over the place.
Yeah, they already feral. Public school saw to that.
Yeah.
But or again, water filtration. If you can't just keep using your own designated water resources, you may have to get it from somewhere. How close is it? How much are you going to have to carry? Can you build a transport system? Can you keep it safe if you do? How much needs to be filtered? There's a lot of number crunching there.
Yeah.
And people may not have thought that far ahead.
And you might need somebody that make clothes because again, you're going out there, you might get blood on your clothes might get torn. If
Yeah.
you have kids, those kids are growing. Do you have somebody that knows how to sew or knows how to just put a garment together? It doesn't have to be elaborate,
Yeah,
but
there's not
that
too many
can
people
mend.
that know how to do that. We talked about that before.
Yeah.
That stuff's turning into hobbies now.
Yeah.
There's not too many people that really know how to do that kind of stuff anymore.
Who's going to gather your firewood? You not just going around picking up sticks. You might have to cut some trees down or
Yeah.
small trees, cut back some limbs.
Busting wood takes a lot of time.
Yeah, and then the person that busts the wood are going to be in charge of fire, making fires, maintaining the fire. You know, it's a lot of things to think about. So think about those things, write it down, get a list, think about things. What would I have to do to survive?
Don't think of yourselves as a prepper group. Think of yourselves as a potential, like, micro community.
Yeah, prepper community, and
Yeah.
that's what they like to call it on YouTube. Oh yeah, the prepper community.
Yeah,
But what
but-
makes a community work? What makes a community run? Think about that and then say, okay, these are the things we need to make our group, our community successful.
Yeah, and if you have a group now, do you have people in that group that, if push comes to shove, you know that they'll be able to accept those roles? There's a lot of people, like, you know, the old adage, you can talk the talk, but can you walk the walk?
Yeah.
And it's been my experience, most people, they can't walk when
Yeah.
it comes down to it. They love to blow themselves up and go on, but when push comes to shove, they back down, or they don't want to be bothered. And you've really got to think about this in advance, because if things ever do jump off and people don't have a designated role and it's not firmly established who's first, who's second, whatever, as far as command, everybody's going to want to be in charge.
Yeah, they're going to look for something to
They're going
do.
to find something to do, and it's not going to be what you expect, because that's just human nature, unfortunately.
And also, don't take a person's word for it.
Yeah,
Just because
test them.
the person say, "Oh, I'm fantastic at canning." Okay, well, can you can us a couple of things?
Yeah, show us an example.
Yeah. Or yeah, I can sew. I can mend a garment. I can patch some pants. Okay, here you go. Here's some pants. Go ahead and patch it. You know, because it's easy to say right now you can do something, but let the lights go out for 30 days.
Yeah,
Let it go out for 6 months, a year. Can you do anything you said you could do when you came into our group?
yeah. And it's also a good time for, since you have kids, apprenticeship. Because just like in the old days when somebody had a specific job or function, they were a leathersmith, whatever, that's why they would apprentice somebody, so that someone could always be doing it.
Yeah, someone can be
The skill
learning
won't
as
be
they go.
lost.
Yeah. If you have a carpenter friend in your group, have the kids work with them for a few months. Learn how to use a skill saw, a drill, how to measure. And it reminds me, we were watching a home renovation show. And it was this husband and wife, and they were a young couple in their 20s. And they were trying to put up some framing, and they kept measuring this piece of board, and they kept getting the measurement wrong.
It
and
kept being too short. I think I know the
Yeah.
one you're talking about. Yeah.
And the reason why it was too short, well, they measured the space.
Yeah.
And the reason why it was too short is because they put the big end where the tape goes
Yeah.
against the wall. So they
weren't measuring it all the way up when they were
Yeah.
pulling the tape up. They were putting the roll to the top of what they were measuring.
Yeah.
But then counting from here
Yeah,
instead of bending the tape
the
all
tape
the way
all
up.
the way.
And
And
so they were missing 2 inches every time. It's
Every
like, I don't know why this keeps getting cut short.
they kept going. They went back like 8 times because they kept showing it.
Yeah.
And then finally they figured it out. So do you have that guy and you go, oh yeah, I'm a great carpenter. I
Sure.
can do this, I can do that. But then they don't know how to use a tape measure. You know. And I mean, it sounds comical. And you're like, oh man, nobody will do that. You will be
It happens.
surprised.
People, And it's something I get on about a lot. You know, not like I'm some big freaking genius, but people aren't that smart.
No.
Most people are not very smart. They're not very intelligent. They're not half as smart as they think they are, and they're often even dumber than that. Quoting George Carlin there, but that's the problem. There's a lacking of common sense, of general knowledge. I'm not talking about book knowledge, you know, of useless trivia that they pack into your head at school. I'm talking about real world knowledge, things that will get you through life. Most people don't have those skills.
Yeah, something that I saw, and it's kind of off topic, but you done brought it up now.
Uh-oh.
We were watching YouTube, and they showed a video of people. It was they were adults. They were like in their early 20s, like between 18 and 22, and they were learning life skills. And they had the girl trying to use the can opener.
Yeah.
This was the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It was a college life skills class that was being filmed. Manual can opener.
That girl literally took about 15 minutes to figure out how to use that can opener. And it's on YouTube. You can look it up. I'm not exaggerating. I might be exaggerating on the time, but it was longer than 5 minutes, that's for sure. And then when she finally got it, they applauded and cheered like she just finished a marathon.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck? You know, so...
And I totally get that from my juvenile justice experience because, you know, I ran the YRC2, and that's a if rough translation, it's like a halfway house. And life skills was part of that. And these kids, you know, you're talking like ranging age 12 to 22, because 22 and a half, or is it 23 and a half? I think it's 22 and a half. You still can be considered a juvenile and held in juvenile detention.
Mm-hmm.
But at least in Kansas. But teaching them to use a broom, a mop, how to tell when water's boiling, how to run a washing machine. I mean, these kids couldn't do anything. Honor roll students count money. How are you an honor roll and getting an A in your algebra class because you're using a calculator? You can't do algebra. You can use an algebra calculator. There's a huge difference there. When I was in school, you had to use paper, but they can't count money. They can't do basic weights and measurements. They couldn't do anything. The kids were useless. And I know I've had people tell me, oh, well, you know, those were the worst ones because they were in juvenile custody. No, those are the ones that got caught, okay? Because I also have worked with public schools. These kids are not smart. And guess what? Most of their parents aren't that smart either. The skills aren't there. The basic common sense skills are not there.
Don't assume because your kid is going to school and they make decent grades, you know, they're passing their class, that they're smart.
Yeah,
have them bake a simple box cake and use the measuring cup and the measuring spoon on their own, no phone, no nothing, and see if they can measure.
Yeah, see if they can follow the simple directions.
Yeah, have them use the tape measure and measure something and tell you, okay, how long is the couch or the coffee table?
Yeah.
You know, what's the length and the width and the height of it? See if they know how. Because I think a lot of parents assume, well, my kid go to school every day. They make decent grades. They got a B average, a A average. Yeah, of course they know how to do that. And then they get shocked and amazed when the kid is put to the test and they don't know nothing.
They can't do it. They can't actually read. They can't actually count. They have zero common sense. They can't figure things out. How many times has anybody watched like a house hunter show and they don't want the house because they think the color of the paint is ugly, because they don't have the skill even to visualize what that might look like with a different color.
Yeah, don't think
it can be repainted. Surprise.
Don't think because your kid knows how to use every phone out there or can do this and that on the computer that they're geniuses. Yeah, they're so smart. He can get on the computer and pull up Facebook. Okay, that's not a skill, and that's not impressive.
It's a nation of button pushers.
Yeah, that's not impressive because you can open up the internet and navigate to get from page to page. That's not cool, you know.
Yeah, all these, we've done videos on that before. All of these skills that it has taken thousands of years for man to develop has been reduced. That one's kind of loud.
That one's kind of low.
It's like right on us.
Yeah.
Has been reduced to a bunch of obscure hobbies.
Yeah.
And if the grid ever went down, all those people are going to be helpless.
Yeah.
They're going to be helpless, and they're not going to make it.
But back to what we were talking about, we always get so far off track.
That's all right.
Your prepper group, ensuring that everybody has a job. If they don't have a job, they're going to make up their own, and they're going to become a nuisance.
Yeah, and then you'll have to dispose of them.
Yeah, and they're going to cause trouble in your group. But if you give them a job, tell them you're in charge of this, and use the word in charge, people feel empowered. I had a job. I worked for a company, and that was their buzzword, because I was a manager, and it was like, empower the employees to do whatever. Empower, and they love that. Did you get this done? Yes, I empowered the crew, and they got that done. You told them to go over there and do that, and they did it. They love the word empowered.
Yeah, I know. We're not right necessarily. Some people that works with some people,
Some
but
people.
In my experience, most people they nod and smile, and behind your back they're like, "This is bullshit."
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, basically. But not so much just empowered, but just make sure that you can assign a position that they know what it is, that they accept that, that they're like, yeah, okay, I don't have a problem doing that, that they can actually do it.
Yeah.
And are willing and able if and when the time comes.
Yeah. And even practice it now, like when you're doing your drills, practice, okay, we're in the community, things are down, we've been here for 6 months, right now we're secure, but we got to do our everyday tasks, and get people to do those everyday tasks. Collect water, collect food, distribute food, and everything. Watch them kids, get wood and start the fire, that kind of stuff, just to see and get into the practice.
Try it and see what it feels like.
Yeah. See what it feels like. Try it for a weekend. Anything else?
I think that about covers it, because every group's going to be a little bit different. Every group's going to have different people in it that are capable of different things. There's no perfectly balanced group.
No.
So, feel it out. If you're in a group, feel it out. Or if you're just a family unit, maybe you don't have a prepper group, because it's hard to find one that
you can trust.
That isn't weird. But
yeah, they turn into a cult quick.
They get weird. A lot of them do. But if it's just you and your little family, you can still do that with them.
Yeah, it's probably even easier.
Yeah, it might be simpler. We have fewer people to deal with. It's going to be simpler.
Yeah.
But just it's more food for thought, guys.
Yep.
Anything else?
Nope.
Well, please do give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of that discussion. We hope you did. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you knew, all that good stuff. If you wanted to help the channel out, there are links for that down below. And what more can I say but stay frosty, folks, and thanks for watching.